Hello and welcome back to Basement Sports Talk. My name is Steven Villani, and I'm here with my good friend Sean McGee.
Well, good isn't.
Right now, we're on pretty difficult terms. See, we got a lot coming up for you. We'll get into it. We got a lot coming up for you in this podcast today. We're really excited. But first off, we want to start off by apologizing for the lack of content being put out there. With all this whole coronavirus, it's tough for us to be in the same place at the same time and converse on these ideas. Not to mention finals and school was starting to heat up.
Finals week was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Oh yeah.
And other stuff going on, everything. So, but we'll try to get back to it.
We're here now.
Yeah.
We're doing everything possible to get more content out.
That's right. So, first thing we saw right before we jumped on today was the Jamal Adams thing, which obviously Steven is not a fan of. To hear the news that the contract negotiations aren't going as planned.
Apparently, there's a stalemate between the two sides, and it's causing a rift.
Well,
because this is a point where the Jets, they don't have to pay Jamal for at least another year or two. Because think about it this way:
how many years left on his contract?
He's entering his fourth year.
Okay.
They exercise the fifth year, in which he's going to get, I think it's something around $9 to $10 million for that fifth year option.
Which he obviously thinks he's worth more.
Oh, he is 100% worth more. He should be being paid like at least a top 5 safety in the NFL right now. In history, I don't know. He's still got more time to grow into that kind of player. But one thing is, if the Jets trade him, they're losing a ton of production. And since 2017, amongst the safeties, Jamal Adams ranks first in sacks with 12. First among safeties in total quarterback hits, which is 14, and first among quarterback hurries among safeties with 27. So not only was Jamal Adams the best defensive player, but he was the best pass rusher for the Jets last year as well.
That's kind of upsetting.
That is upsetting. Your safety is your best pass rusher, and it's things like this that make you wonder it's debates like this and situations that come up like this that makes you wonder why people are still Jets fans. Like, you have your top player, the fans adore him more than anything, and it's this difficult situation to work through.
I have an idea for you.
Oh boy, I swear to if you say it's trade him to the Cowboys.
I know, I have a good trade scenario for you.
If he's going to be traded anywhere, it's there.
Hear me out
for a second. That's honestly the Cowboys.
We'll give you straight up. I'll give you Dak Prescott for Jamal Adams.
No deal.
What do you say?
No deal.
What? You don't want to pay him $45 million?
I'm quite all right. I'd rather give Jamal that money, to be quite honest with you.
Dak Prescott, love him. Well, actually, I don't really know if I love him anymore. I mean,
also, just shout out to his family. Our condolences are with him. He did recently lose his brother.
That's obviously more important than the money.
Yes. So our thoughts are with you, the Prescotts, the family, Dak, all of you guys. Hope everything's going well.
Yes. Obviously,
so just wanted to bring that point up.
We didn't wish anything bad on
but it's
Prescott or anything. But I'm just saying. You're saying there's a lot of people right now that would take $35 million a year.
Yes.
For 5 years.
Yes.
5 years.
Any smart NFL player, given that contract, would say yes.
Let me ask you a question. Would you take a contract 5 years for $35 million years?
Yes.
Wait, did I say that
right? For $35 million a year. Yeah. Yes.
I can't even speak. 5 year, $175 million. $35 million a year.
Yes.
Can you imagine living off $35 million a year?
No. Because I don't have that kind of money.
Hopefully we will someday, but that's a big if. That is maybe after I'm dead I might see that money per year. In heaven I'll see that.
That is what heaven is. You just dive straight into $35 million worth of cash.
But in all honesty, going back to Jamal Adams, one of the most likely places does seem like the Cowboys.
Yes.
And there was talks about it during middle of the season last season.
I think
it just fell through at the end of the deadline.
I think in order for that trade to go through, the Cowboys would need to offer up either Amari Cooper or Michael Gallup, which they wouldn't do. Maybe, I think they'd be more inclined to trade Michael Gallup, especially after getting CeeDee Lamb. if it means they get to secure a safety of Jamal's caliber.
I honestly think they love Michael Gallup.
Yes, I agree with that. But where is their biggest need?
100% safety. But I do like Heath. I'm pretty sure Heath is still there. He's a solid safety in the league.
Yeah.
But he's Jamal Adams.
Yes,
I'm not
Jamal Adams. Yeah.
I'm not that cowboy delusional fan. Heath is just as good as Jamal Adams. Though.
Just like Brock Osweiler is just as good as Tom Brady.
That's for the no one's gonna know that show. That's the old to the center field days where we alluded to in the first.
That's the beginning of this idea.
I might have said Brock Osweiler was as good as Tom Brady, which was a younger thought back in the day. But we got other quarterback talks later on that we're gonna get to.
You want to jump into it right now? Might as well.
I mean,
so if you remember correctly, the 2018 draft class for quarterbacks was arguably the best. You could argue one of the most talented groups and crops of quarterbacks. Who
else was in that?
It was Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
That wasn't Daniel Jones, right?
No, Daniel Jones
the year
after.
Okay.
But so that's been this great debate, and if you really think about it, I think the quarterbacks with the most intertwined, I guess, stories, since they're also good friends in real life, is Sam Darnold and Josh Allen.
Wait, they're good friends?
They are actually good friends, yes. They have been working out in California together with Jordan Palmer.
So you're telling me Sam Darnold's learning a lot from Josh Allen?
I'm saying they're learning a lot from each other.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Keep going. What do you want to say?
So, the debate we have going on today is who is the better quarterback.
Don't just say it's a debate. It's just a friendly conversation.
It's going to turn very unfriendly very fast.
Between two friends, we're going to talk about some quarterbacks. You know.
So, obviously, I'm going to be a little bit more biased, but I feel I have a lot of stats to back me up. I'm going to share that all with you. But Sean,
you're already saying that by you saying you have a lot of stats, you're saying I don't have stats.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Those words didn't come out of my mouth. But, which might be true. But, I will let you get first go. Obviously, you think Josh Allen is better. I disagree.
You want me to
completely.
go first so you can go off me. That's fine. I'm built for this. This is what I do for a living. We haven't made any money from this, but this is what I live. So obviously, I don't want to call it debate. Friendly conversation. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen between Sam Darnold. I like both of them. Let's get that off the bat right now. I like both of them. But I just like giving a slighter edge. And actually, I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. Steven is cracking his knuckles, staring at me right now, looking like he's about to devour me with stats. That's what it looks like, if you could see this right now.
I'm so ready.
Now, I want to talk about...
You have no idea.
Hey, it's my turn to talk.
I know. I was just going to say that.
So shut your mouth for a second. So, my thing is... So, Josh Allen, this is what Josh Allen's stats, right? He threw for 3,089 yards, 20 touchdowns. Only had 9 interceptions on the year as a young quarterback.
Okay, that's not terrible. Okay. I don't disagree with that.
510 yards on the ground with 9 touchdowns.
Okay, but if you're playing...
So almost 30 total touchdowns in the season.
Yes.
Can you let me finish?
Yes.
I'm trying to talk. Thank you. That is 4.7 yards per game. I mean, per carry.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's as good as a running back. Okay? And now you're going to say, oh, because he's actually a running back instead of a quarterback.
Well, I'm saying... Okay. This is my opinion on the quarterback position in the NFL. This is why I'm going to say the same thing about Josh Allen as I am about Lamar. I hate the fact they run. They put themselves at unnecessary risks. Look at what happened with Cam Newton.
Dude, that's the new era.
Look at what happened with Robert Griffin III. Yeah, almost every running quarterback has gotten a major injury, and it has ruined their careers.
Though, can I say something? What happened to RG3, which he's literally on the Ravens roster. What happened to RG3 should not happen to I was about to say LeVar Ball, to Lamar Jackson, because the doctors literally put him back out, RG3 back out there when he shouldn't have been out on the field at all.
Right.
And that's really what messed him up. If there's an injury that happens to Lamar Jackson, which in football people get injured, right? Mm-hmm. And especially at a running quarterback, you are at a big. That's just statistically you're at a bit bigger risk. But I don't think he'll have a career-ending injury that won't let him play the same way again.
Right.
That RG3 had.
I just think that with these guys, and especially if you're a quarterback, I think they just rely a little too heavily on their ability to run. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you're playing the quarterback position, you're getting paid to throw the football. And I have never seen a quarterback overthrow more receivers than Josh Allen. Not to say that he's a bad quarterback, but he has a tendency to overthrow his receivers a lot.
Overthrow them in what way?
What does overthrow mean?
The only reason he would overthrow a wide receiver is if it was the wide receiver's fault. Yep. Josh Allen wouldn't make that mistake. I've watched him. I've watched his games. He has a great ability to manage the games. Better than Sam Darnold. He's a better game manager than Sam Darnold.
I disagree completely.
It's okay if you disagree because at the end of the day, I'm right. Okay?
I'm going to tell you this.
And the other thing is this.
What got the Bills to the playoffs last year
was
an easy schedule. Was an easy schedule and a good defense.
Before you say anything, 10-6 on the year.
Okay.
10-6.
Okay, let me ask you something. Is there only offensive possessions in a game of football?
Okay. Well, is there only offensive possessions in a Jets game? No, they have a defense too.
Yes, and Josh Allen got into a better position with a better built team. They actually had a general manager that was competent.
So you're saying the Jets don't have a competent general manager?
Now they do. With Joe Douglas, now they do. But the two prior, John Idzik and Mike McCagnon, were horrible at drafting. In 2014, get this. If the Jets had 13 picks in the 2014 NFL draft, guess how many of those picks are even in the league right now and playing? No, less than 3. 1 is a backup offensive lineman on the Minnesota Vikings, Dakota Dozier. He is and the other one was Quincy Enunwa, who was on the physically unable to perform list.
Quincy Enunwa.
Yes, he is the one. He was a 6th round pick, and he was our best pick of that draft.
Sounds like the Jets.
That's what I'm saying. So Sam Darnold already had the.
Before you do the sob story for Sam Darnold,
okay,
we talked about this before the podcast. Is that it's not like Josh Allen went into the best situation either.
Lamar Jackson by far went into the best situation.
And you're going to give these stats
with
Sam Darnold. And I'm saying Sam Darnold, what he did with what he had is slightly impressive. Slightly.
I think it's more impressive than what you're allowing. I think the Jets just have this horrible quality that people just always think they're going to suck no matter who they have.
They got 7 wins last year somehow. They beat the Cowboys.
They did beat the Cowboys.
It was a fluke.
No, it was not a fluke.
Well, it was.
I remember that entire week.
We would have been better without a head coach that game. We would have been better without Jason Garrett.
I just remember because that was the game Sam Darnold came back, and I'm like, just you watch.
I know.
Sam Darnold is about to have one of the best games.
We talked about this before. I said I agree with you. This is a game the Cowboys will lose or would lose, and they did.
So anyway,
wait, what was that? Oh, sugar my muffins. I don't know where I was in my argument. Oh, right. I was saying. No, give me a second. Give me a second now. Talk for me. I need to. I don't.
You know what? While you think, I'm gonna give it to you like this.
I know what I was gonna say. Shut your mouth.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that what Josh Allen has done there. This is not stat wise, and I know you're big stat guys, but I really think he's done a great job building the offense up with the coaches and building something there and like the culture. It's gotten better there since he's been drafted there for sure.
Yes, but I credit that more to the head coach. I think Sean McDermott is one of the most underrated head coaches in the league.
But also, you've seen it. I'm not comparing them to Tom Brady and Belichick at all, but like you need a quarterback and a coach.
Yes.
And they need to work together.
Yes.
And I think they've done a very good job together.
I think because when Josh Allen was drafted by the Bills, I said to myself that this is the most Buffalo Bills pick in history. If you look at almost every single Bills quarterback in history, they're not necessarily going to be huge, but they're going to have the ability to run. They're going to have the ability to throw the ball deep, and they're going to be strong and they're going to be competitors. That's the archetype of what the Bills look for in their quarterbacks, and that's what Josh Allen is.
You want to hear my opinion? You're not going to like this one. I think if the Bills stay with Tyrod Taylor. They stayed with Tyrod Taylor till now.
Instead of drafting Josh Allen.
Yeah, just stay with him. They would have won a Super Bowl by now.
I don't agree with that, but I think they would be better off with Tyrod Taylor because I think Tyrod Taylor is a little more accurate. Not to say Josh Allen is a completely inaccurate quarterback. Yes, he overthrows a lot. It happens. I say the same thing about Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes overthrow the most receivers I've seen in the NFL right now. I'm saying that about Patrick Mahomes. He is a fantastic quarterback, but you can't tell me he does not have a tendency to overthrow his receivers. I think he won a
Super Bowl.
He did win a Super Bowl.
Okay. That's interesting.
He did, but Josh Allen is no Patrick Mahomes.
He can be.
Oh God.
But okay.
Anyway, all right, you know what?
Well, we're talking about Tyrod.
Yes. No, we got to get to the Sam Darnold.
So let me just say
one
quick thing. I think Tyrod with the San Diego Chargers.
You mean Los
Angeles Chargers with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Oh, I'm about to toast you.
No. Who'd they draft? Herbert?
Yes.
Herbert.
Justin Herbert.
Sherbert, whatever his name is. He don't even have a chance compared to Tyrod. Tyrod's going to get them over 500. They're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to see a little magic happen. Tyrod's about to be reincarnated. You don't agree with that?
I think it's going to be a very interesting quarterback battle in Los Angeles. I do.
It's not even going to be a battle.
I think Justin Herbert possesses those type of skills needed to work with that offense. And if we were talking about Lamar Jackson getting put into the best situation. Out of all the quarterbacks that were just drafted this year, Justin Herbert got drafted into the best situation. Keenan Allen, you have Mike Williams, and you have arguably a top 10 defense in the NFL now.
What about Hunter Henry?
And then you got Hunter Henry.
Which are all weapons for Tyrod Taylor. Next segment, please.
You mean next topic of discussion, which is the Sam Darnold debate, because we have not talked about this yet. So
tried to sneak that one in there.
You went on the record of saying that Josh Allen had in 16 games this year.
We're talking about on the record, off the record stuff now. What are we doing now?
So Josh Allen played 16 games compared to Sam Darnold's 13. Josh Allen threw 3,089 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions.
Stats.
Hey, ready? Hey, I barely interrupted you, so you're gonna need to shut your mouth. With a 58% completion percentage. 58% completion percentage.
It's okay.
That's an okay completion percentage. Sam Darnold, in 13 games, and with less talent on offense, had 3,024 yards, which is 65 less than Allen, and 19 touchdowns and 13 interceptions with a 61.9 completion percentage.
Okay.
Now, if we're looking at career averages, that was just from the 2019 season. So you could make the argument that if Sam Darnold had not gotten mono, he would have had better throwing stats than Josh Allen. Rushing stats, definitely not.
But rushing stats still count in the NFL, do they not?
More for running backs than quarterbacks.
Oh, okay. So the 9 touchdowns that Josh Allen got on the ground, we don't care about that.
No, they help
they
them
don't
win
games. Oh, they do help them win games.
Offense and defense wins games.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that. I like that.
Okay,
Keep
but
going.
you can't tell me that the defense didn't win more games for the Bills last year than the offense did.
Guess what? You win games on both sides of the field.
And Josh Allen lost that playoff game by making some stupid decisions. Yeah. Not to mention,
how old is Josh Allen? 24?
20. He's about to be 24. Let me tell you something.
About to be 24, and you're going to give him some BS for that.
Ready? He threw 9 interceptions.
Yeah,
17 should have been intercepted. He had the most thrown passes that should have been intercepted in the league by 5.
Where is that stat?
I don't have it.
Oh, you don't have it, huh? You don't know the source either?
It was on Instagram
Misinformation,
site.
Folks.
Okay.
You gotta watch out in these times. Misinformation.
Sam Darnold's career averages compared to Josh Allen's. 226 yards passing per game for Sam Darnold compared to 184 for Josh Allen. 1.3 touchdowns per game for Sam Darnold compared to 1 touchdown per game to Josh Allen. And Sam Darnold has a 81.1 career passer rating compared to Josh Allen's 78.2. Now, I will say, Josh Allen has less interceptions than Sam Darnold does in career averages. He has 0.75 per game to Sam Darnold's 1 a game. Now,
I have a question, because I don't know the stats off the top of my head. Who has more wins in their career?
Right now, I'm not positive.
I'd have to imagine
it's
Josh Allen.
Not sure because he did miss some time. He missed a decent amount of time his rookie year.
Josh Allen.
Yes.
Yes, he did get hurt a little bit.
So I am not positive how many wins and losses.
I would be interested to see that win stacked up against each other.
Yes, and this I'm pulling this quote from Dan Orlovsky, who is this analyst on ESPN. Last year, in the midst of a new head coach, the second one in 2 years, a new general manager, a new offense, Sam Darnold was 7-6 as their starting quarterback with mononucleosis.
Mononucleosis.
Last year,
just say mono.
Last year, let me ask you, who had the worst pass blocking offensive line in football?
I'm gonna take a guess.
Sam Darnold.
You didn't let me guess.
You know who had the worst run blocking offensive line in football?
Let me take a guess. Don't say it. Don't blurt out the answer. The Cowboys.
The New York Jets. And you're talking about a quarterback that has to do it on his own. Sam Darnold, with that offensive line, went 7-6 and still put up as good passing numbers in 3 less games than Josh Allen.
But add the rushing yards.
You could argue that Sam
Also,
Darnold would have had more passing
stat.
yards than Josh Allen would have had total.
I want to make the thing
total
too.
yards.
We don't know if he gets to the same number or more.
So you're telling and this kid has been telling me he has common sense, and he's saying that Sam Darnold would not have thrown 60 yards and a touchdown.
You don't know
in
that
3 games.
Their line is so bad. Their rushing blocking is so bad.
And yet he went 7-6 with that offensive line.
Exactly, but you don't know.
Now,
you don't know he gets a touchdown and 60 yards in 3 games. You just simply don't know.
Not to mention his best receiver and his go-to receiver was a slot receiver in Jamison Crowder.
That's a bad man.
As well as last year, Chris Herndon is hurt. You have
Chris Herndon sucked.
Okay, but you had an offensive line that had 8 different starting combinations throughout the year.
That's normal.
No.
It is normal.
No, it is not normal.
Guarantee the Cowboys had a lot of
it is not normal.
It is.
It is not normal.
He's so befuddled right now.
This is just
Any other stats you want to bring up, me? Because I got common sense to come right back at you.
And then common sense would tell you that these stats are better, and common sense should tell you that Sam Darnold is not throwing for 20 passing yards a game in 3 games.
How tall is Sam Darnold?
How tall is he?
Yeah.
He's like 6'3", 6'4".
Aha! Josh Allen 6'5", baby.
And that matters.
Yeah,
why?
it does. It matters because...
How tall is Kyler Murray?
Oh, well, he's not that good.
Kyler Murray's had a better rookie year than Josh Allen. I hate to tell you.
True.
That is 100% true.
No one's had a better rookie year than Josh Allen. He's just looking at me, shaking his head. Okay.
That's not common sense.
No. I will make this bet with you right now and shake your hand. I bet Josh Allen gets back to the playoffs next year, and the Jets don't, and Sam Darnold doesn't take him to the playoffs. I bet the Buffalo Bills win the division or the conference.
I think the best team in the division right now is the Bills because
of their defense. And Josh Allen does nothing. He doesn't know how to manage a game.
He doesn't know how to manage a game because if he knew how to manage a game, he wouldn't have vertical to pass backwards in crunch time in a playoff game. That is not a game manager. Say what you want. Okay, so then you say Sam Darnold had that one game against the Patriots where he was seeing ghosts. Every young quarterback has a bad game. So if you're gonna use
it negates it.
But if you're gonna use that, then I could just use that right back.
Hey, I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a young quarterback make a mistake than a young quarterback saying I'm seeing ghosts. That's a little scary, okay?
And then look at what he did for the rest of the year. The Jets finished 6-2.
Yeah.
And
right on. And the Jets next year they're going.
I think if there's any quarterback that is set up best right now to finally have their breakout year, it's Sam Darnold.
Absolutely.
They improved the offensive line, and you are going to see this year, now that not only did they improve the offensive line pass blocking wise, now Le'Veon Bell is finally going to have some room to run because you got a mountain of a human being at left tackle. You can just run behind him all day. You're going to start to see better play from Sam Darnold.
Dude, I'm not a Sam Darnold hater. I'm just a Josh Allen lover.
I'm not a Josh Allen lover,
oh,
clearly.
Really? I couldn't tell. You're not a Josh Allen lover. I hope Sam Darnold does well. I feel bad for the Jets fans for many years. It's just a tormenting that should end.
I'm just saying that Sam Darnold has been given less to work with, and he's put up similar numbers to Josh Allen. Therefore, you can't say he's worse. You could argue that he's better because he's doing the same with less.
Hey, Steve. We've kind of been on this topic for a long time. I don't know if you want to...
See, I would, but you know what? Common sense is telling me no.
You know what? They're both good quarterbacks.
They're both solid quarterbacks.
But shake my hand on that. But Josh Allen's better.
No.
You just shook my hand. Josh Allen's better, folks.
No, Josh Allen is not better.
Yes, they are. Okay.
I literally just told you all the stats.
No, stats don't matter.
That's not common sense.
Next segment.
That is not common sense because stats run the sports world.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Not with me.
You're the only person.
And I'm a licensed statistician. Licensed statistician.
Yet you hate on all the stats I bring up.
I know the stats. I'm just not a believer.
Anyway. Next, moving away from this Sam Darnold, Josh Allen debate, because clearly I had more evidence to prove that Sam Darnold was better.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want if it makes you sleep better at night.
Which second-year players do you think, Sean, are set for their breakout year?
Well, that's funny that you asked that question, Steven. Because I got two players here that I think he could break out. First one, Terry McLaurin, wide receiver.
I like that pick.
For the Redskins. So he had 58 catches for 919 yards last season in his first season. Mm-hmm. 7 touchdowns along with that. And with each catch, he's averaging 15.8 yards per catch.
Mm-hmm.
Which
do you know where that ranked in the league?
12th in the league as a rookie.
That's very impressive.
So really impressive. And with rotating quarterbacks as well.
Yes.
So I thought that was really impressive as a rookie for him to adapt to the NFL at that level. And his route running, if you watch his route running, too, was really
it seemed like it got
really
better every
crisp.
week.
Yeah.
It really seemed like it got better every week.
By the season went on, he really improved.
Yeah.
Which is a great sign for a young player like him, and where you can see where maybe in the start of the season they can have more stability at the quarterback position, where he builds a repertoire with that. If either that's Haskins, or I hope it's my boy Alex Smith, because that story is fantastic.
You know the moment that I realized Terry McLaurin was for real?
Tell me,
was when the Jets played the Redskins last year.
Oh, of
and
course.
Terry McLaurin went on a go route on the left side.
No.
Marcus May, the free safety, moved over to defend the ball because it was a horrible throw. It was a 50-50 right to Marcus May, basically. Terry McLaurin sprints, picks up a whole new gear, rushes to the ball, jumps over Marcus May, who has the ball in his hands, rips it out of his hands in the air, and comes down with a catch. And in that moment, I knew Terry McLaurin had a bright future in the NFL.
That moment
there. Yeah. Sometimes all it takes is a play for me. If I see something special, I believe.
You just have a great mind.
I do.
And mix.
Thank you for finally admitting.
and mix that with your stats. One of the greatest minds I've ever seen.
Nice to get some recognition. Yeah, it's nice to get some recognition.
He doesn't even know how to act right now because I don't.
Yeah,
I think
it's like
me. Once every 5 years. But overall, like what you're saying, Terry McLaurin. Sorry, Terry McLaurin. Between his route running and his ability to go up and just get the ball, with the quarterbacks, like I think if he was with, let's just say, a Drew Brees or something like that, forget about it. Forget about him.
Put him on that Saints team.
That's what I mean. Like if
him, Michael Thomas, and Traquan Smith.
He nearly had 1,000 yards receiving
as a rookie
season with rotating quarterbacks. Not the best offensive line, so it has to be, and the ball's not thrown to him accurately all the time. So I think it just makes sense for him to take that next step.
Right.
And maybe with a little more stability at the quarterback position, he could do that.
Plus, I think he's got a better head coach as well. Ron Rivera
very good.
He has a tendency to work well with receivers, kind of like
Rivera
McLaurin. Solid route runners with solid hands.
The only thing I would say, he could have done a little better with Devin Funchess.
Yes, I agree with that. But Curtis Samuel went well. DJ Moore, all those other guys.
DJ Moore, I really like. Do you want me to take my second guy?
Yeah, go for it. Who is a running back from a team we were just talking about?
It might be, and it's honestly the running back 2 behind Josh Allen. I'm just joking. He's smiling. Steven's smiling. But
so he's the RB2 behind Josh Allen.
No, he's not. He's the RB1. He's the RB1, and he's a heck of an RB1. And here's why I think he's gonna really take the next step in his second season. First of all, Devin Singletary, the running back for the Bills. He was learning behind Frank Gore for a whole season, and Frank Gore is the ultimate professional. And now he's on your Jets team. He's a heck of a running back. And what is this?
I just got late breaking news. Sorry to interrupt you, but...
Yeah, never interrupt me again.
However, just really fast, LaShawn McCoy and the Eagles are open to the idea of a reunion between the two sides. That would be very interesting, and that's just what I wanted to try to show you nonchalantly while you were still talking.
That wasn't very nonchalant.
That wasn't very nonchalant.
Very not nonchalant. But going back to Singletary, that's very interesting. They need a running back too, besides Miles. We talked about Miles Sanders could be a breakout guy too.
He's another guy in this conversation.
He was like our
he was like borderline about to make this list because I am a huge fan of Miles Sanders. I think he could be. He's a very similar skill set to Saquon. He was able to learn from him a little bit at Penn State. Obviously, he's a little bit smaller, not as strong, but he's still got those same receiving abilities, the burst, the power, the strength.
What I would say is that definitely in that season, he didn't come in as one of the... I don't even know if he was the running back 2 or 3 when he came in.
I believe he was the running back 2 at the point where he came in when they drafted him.
But I think he had to work his way up, and he did it, and he had to earn the trust of coach and stuff like that. And when he got in, he took advantage of his chances, and he showed glimpses of what he could become. And I think... now that we're talking about
Devin Singletary,
and the same thing about Devin Singletary. And honestly, if you bring in LaShawn McCoy, that would be a great mentor figure for him to learn with, because he's still a young running back. Yeah. So that would be a cool thing, and they could definitely work off each other because they're two different style running backs. Yeah. But going back to Singletary, he had 151 carries last year. Frank Gore was the number 1 guy. He got hurt a little bit, then Singletary took over. He got 775 yards in the limited carries. Only 2 touchdowns though, but I think that will dramatically go up.
Honestly, it can sound like it could be
honestly,
a real
that
word.
could work. Honestly, that could work, but dramatically go up in the next season, and he was 5.1 yards per carry, and that was
impressive. Yeah.
5th in the league. So if you're having that many yards per carry, you're bouncing off tackles. I would love to see. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would love to see his yards after contact too, because I'd imagine it's pretty high compared to other running backs in the league. As well as those stats right there, I think they're going to improve. But also, the Bills do like to be a running team. They like to control the game clock, and I think that fits into them pounding the ball, and managing the game.
Yeah, I think what the Bills need to really complete that off, if they had went out and signed Melvin Gordon, that would have been the perfect complement and finishing piece to their offense.
To get it in the goal line.
That would have put them over the top as
Which
the
is
best
weird.
team in the
He
AFC
went to the
East.
Broncos, to be honest with you, because they have...
I read somewhere that he actually went to the Broncos because he wanted to play the Chargers 2 times a year to get revenge.
Really?
I did read that, yeah.
That would make sense. But they have Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, and Royce Freeman's already at the third down back.
And Devontae Booker, who had some flashes a couple years ago.
Devontae Booker's still there?
I believe so. I could be wrong.
They won't use him no more anyway, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, but they won't need him. But
anyway, what's a guy you think's gonna have a good second year?
I mean, we were talking about Denver. I'll just get right into it.
Yeah,
Noah Fant, the tight end from the Denver Broncos. I think he's gonna be huge. He had a very solid year from a rookie tight end. He had 40 receptions last year.
He really had that?
Yeah, he had 40 receptions.
It seemed like he didn't do anything last year, to be honest with you.
But see, that's the thing. Noah Fant's catches were shorter and more spaced out over the games rather than having these huge 100-yard game, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. He was more of a consistent thrower and a consistent chain mover for Drew Lock, and I think that's going to continue and expand a little bit. And one of the things that excites me most about Noah Fant is his ability after the catch. He's a very hard person to tackle. He's big, he's strong, he's shifty. He's faster than he looks. and that could translate well. He actually had 3 touchdowns last year, and if this is any indication for what kind of playmaker he can be, he averaged 14.1 yards per catch.
Wow. That's way more than I would have imagined.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think will help him too is Drew Lock has another year under his belt.
Plus, they have more weapons there now.
So the cornerbacks and safeties, they can't focus all on one person and stuff like that. They drafted a heck of a lot of great wide receivers from the draft, and they're going to get attention. That leaves the little dump down passes and the short routes he does for a catch. And that's really all he needs because, like you said, his ability to get yards after contact or after the catch is what makes him special and unique.
That's what, in my opinion, I think that's what's going to make him, honestly, fantasy-wise, I could see him being a top 10, top 5 tight end. But in the NFL, I think he makes it into the top half tight ends, maybe borderline top 10, which I think would be a good place for a second-year tight end, especially because he was drafted with his counterpart, T.J. Hawkinson, and there was a debate who would be better, who would go first in the draft. And I think you're going to see that Noah Fant is actually going to end up being the right selection.
I got no doubt in your mind. I tend to trust your decisions, just not on Sam
Darnold, and Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson.
We don't have to talk about it. Let's keep going with something else before we go on another 30-minute rant.
Now, the other player I think is going to have a breakout second year, and I kind of feel he had a very solid first year for a rookie in Brian Burns. How often do you see an edge rusher get drafted and immediately make a difference, unless it's like a Nick Bosa or a
TJ Watt
or a player of that caliber? You don't see edge rushers do that. And to Brian Burns' credit, he didn't start fully his first year. He had to deal with a couple injuries, so he started only 5 games. But in those 5 games he had 25 tackles, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery with 7.5 sacks, that's the most impressive thing to me. Is your rookie year, you're going out and getting 7.5 sacks. That's not production a rookie edge rusher usually gets in year 1. That is very solid, and if that's any indication for Panthers fans, especially after the draft they just had, Brian Burns is about to get unleashed. The Carolina Panthers spent every single draft pick they had on defense. They are committed to getting that defense right back when it was with Luke Kuechly, Thomas Davis, and that really hard, keep pounding Carolina style of play on both offense and defense. So I think Brian Burns is really going to take that next step, and you can kind of see how the flashes from this past year of how good he can be.
I got no arguments here.
Usually you do. Now for our 4th and final segment.
Good, because I'm getting a little tired.
So there's a lot of free agents still available. You have Everson Griffin, Jadeveon Clowney as the 2 best edge rushers, Logan Ryan, Taylor Gabriel, and Cam Newton.
You want to talk about edge rusher making his presence known.
It's Jadeveon Clowney. And now here's the thing. How is a player of his caliber still on the open market?
That's what I've kind of been asking too.
I think the injuries are really a concern for some teams because he hasn't really fully stayed healthy, and he didn't really have the overall best year in Seattle. He showed flashes of what kind of player he could be.
And part of me really thinks is that because of how talented he is, he does draw a lot of attention, and he might get doubled and things like that. Which honestly, that's a tool that you look at the stats, and the stats are important. Obviously, you think the stats are important.
I think
But coaches, when they see that this guy is drawing so much attention, that should be appealing to a coach as well. Because if you have other decent defensive tackles or the pass rusher on the other edge,
and especially with how dry the pass rushing crop is, you have your top guys: Von Miller, Chandler Jones, Jadeveon Clowney, and then it's just a steep drop off, really. Then you have these rookie guys that were just drafted over the past couple years, still making a name for themselves. And I feel bad for not putting him in there, but TJ Watt deserves to be put with the upper echelon of outside linebackers and edge rushers in this league.
He's on the cusp of that list.
He's on that cusp. Because he's right there.
Because he's had really good seasons.
Yes.
But I think if he wants to get to that very level, he's got to take that extra step.
Yeah, and
it might be coming.
Here's the thing. The thing about T.J. Watt last year, he was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He was balling out. He was. Anyway, moving on from the edge rusher, I know you said you wanted to touch upon Cam Newton a little bit. So where do you think his best fit would be, and where he would? So I'll ask this: where do you think his best fit would be, and do you think the best fit is also the place where he would have the most success and be able to bring the most success to that franchise?
It's hard, I think he wants a starting job, of course, and I don't think there really is one out there at this moment. In all honesty, and it's not because I'm a Cowboys fan, I honestly thought the Cowboys might sign him to almost be like like Dak. If you're not gonna, we have him here. If you don't want to take our contract, but essentially they kind of did that with Andy Dalton. And honestly, this is a little off that topic what we're talking about, but then by them signing Andy Dalton, it's almost like the same thing.
Right.
Because if you give Andy Dalton the weapons that Dak has, I'm sure Andy Dalton can find some ways to make some wins happen.
Look, Andy Dalton is one of the most underrated, overrated quarterbacks of all time.
Literally, depending on the year.
Depending on the year. He literally went from having an 8-0 start to a season to having an 0-8 start to the season. So it's just really that underrated, overrated. It's hard to tell.
But back to Cam Newton. I thought the Cowboys would be actually a decent fit. He's got the personality for it, and he would make a lot of money from marketing. People would buy his jerseys even if he's the backup.
Right.
But I think it's hard because the Chargers might be a place for him if they got Tyrod, but then it wouldn't make sense because they invested that draft pick in Herbert.
Right.
So it doesn't really make sense there. The Saints was maybe, but then they signed Winston. So it's hard. I just don't know too many spots that want to take that chance on him. And he has this personality, and he comes in, the locker room automatically gets, or like the media and stuff like that. Sometimes players or the coaches and the organization don't want to deal with that because they know he's going to bring so much media attention and things like that. And I almost think that's kind of hurt him in a sense.
So my question to you is, do you think that there's a high percentage chance that he would reunite with Ron Rivera in Washington? I know there have been talks about it. I'm not so sure it's still going to happen, but do you think that would be a good landing spot for him potentially?
It's definitely not off the table. Now, do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Because I think they want to go at least with Dwayne Haskins, and Alex Smith is making a comeback to be the back.
Dwayne Haskins didn't play terrible
He didn't play terrible, and he needs a couple more weapons, in all honesty. And it's the first year thrown in after the quarterback gets hurt. Yeah. I mean, and what else? Tough, So, I think they want to develop him more, and they see him as the future. Hopefully, Alex Smith can give him a run for his money, because that would be I would love to see
of
a story.
If you guys have not seen on Instagram or any form of social media how Alex Smith has been throwing and working out lately, it is absolutely incredible.
Well, first of all,
this man literally had his leg snapped in half, and his leg literally not be a leg anymore, and he's throwing a goddamn football. Excuse my language, but
it's true. If you watch the 30 for 30 on him, his leg was disgusting in it. That's what it went down. You could see his bone, and they had to take muscles from other places to reconstruct his leg. They said it wasn't a football injury anymore. They compared it to army, a military injury.
Right.
That's how bad it got. And the fact that he's even
and
on
it also
a leg,
got infected at one point.
They were thinking about amputating it. So just that story in general is amazing. I'm saying if he can come back, even do one more snap in the NFL, that's amazing. And
he's not even a young guy. The thing that's most amazing about this is he's not young either.
He's like 36.
Yeah. He's he's on the older side for an NFL player. And because we're talking as if 36 is old. 36 you can argue is still partially the prime of your life.
For sure. But the only other landing spot that I think could be possible, which it's like a 1% chance, is the Bears if they're that desperate. But I think with Trubisky and Nick Foles, they're just going to try to make it work there, which, newsflash, I don't think it's going to work.
Here's what I think. Here's what the Bears' strategy is. If they find a way to make it to the playoffs, they will bench Mitch Trubisky and put in Nick Foles.
Nick Foles would be better anyway.
Exactly. That's all you need. And especially since he's coming from that backup spot. That's like the Fitzpatrick cycle. That's like when your starting quarterback gets hurt. You sign Ryan Fitzpatrick to be your backup. Comes in, plays well. Gets signed to a multi-year extension. craps the bed. Let's hope that does not happen. But now another player that I think can have a huge impact on any team that he's on is Logan Ryan. And I think the reason that he hasn't been signed yet is because his asking price is a little too high right now, and especially with how the teams already spent in free agency this year, they were throwing cash out the wazoo. It was ridiculous. So there's not a lot of funds for every team to go around. So I think that's why he's kind of struggling a little bit to find a home. But one interesting statistic I found on Logan Ryan.
You have a statistic?
I do have a statistic.
I didn't know you were a stat guy.
In case you didn't know. So, only 2 players since 2013 have compiled 15-plus interceptions, 60-plus pass deflections, and 3+ sacks. Those 2 players were Logan Ryan and Tyrann Mathieu. And you could argue Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
You can argue that.
You can argue that. Yeah. So that's some good...
He's in good company.
Yeah, he's in good company. So I think he can make a huge impact. And not to mention, he was on New England and ended the New England Patriots dynasty with a pick 6. That was Logan Ryan.
I mean, that was pretty cool. I think anyone likes that.
I think anyone likes that. But not to mention, how cool is it that a former Patriot is the one ending the dynasty?
That is pretty funny.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, come on. So, any other players, you think? I mean, there's a couple good wide receivers out there. Taylor Gabriel could still make some waves. He's a solid slot receiver, a little bit on the older side now. I believe he's like 29, 30.
He probably could help out some special team stuff, too.
And anybody in need of just more depth at the wide receiver position. Like, he would be a good fit for the Redskins. He would be a good fit for the Jets. Just one of these teams that really needs that extra offensive firepower that they're really lacking.
I don't know. I think like maybe a team like the Giants.
Mm-hmm. He would fit well there.
He
would be
Giants,
one of the guys. Although they do have Golden Tate there still.
Yeah,
which would be tough.
They do, but I also think he can be. He's also, to me, he's valuable on the special teams as well. Mm-hmm. Like he's a punt returner or a kickoff returner or something like that. I think he can do that. Now it's not his like specialty, but I think he can either or running down.
He's fast enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Putting him on if you're punting the ball, having him go tackle the guy. I think he could do that as well. But overall, he's put up decent numbers in his career as well, and I think he's old. He's mature. He can help those other younger wide receivers out the Giants out or whatever organization he goes to. I think he'll get picked up for a minimum contract somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I will say his time in the NFL is coming to an end.
Just because he wasn't really the most productive wide receiver. To begin with, he has had some good years. He had solid games in Chicago. I think he played for Atlanta for a little bit. Was with the Browns.
Yeah, Atlanta. I
loved it. Taylor Gabriel was the one that broke Malcolm Butler's ankles in that Super Bowl. I don't know if you remember that video of it was either Malcolm Butler or Darrelle Revis. I'm pretty sure it was Malcolm Butler. Taylor Gabriel was doing a post-in route. Faked outside, got Malcolm Butler to literally fall to his right, only to get wide open down the middle of the field for like a 20, 30-yard gain.
No, he's definitely a
baller,
So
he's got the talent there.
That's not the problem. So I think a team will sign him, take a chance on him at least. But
and that's all we have for today. That's all of our segments for this football version of Basement Sports Talk. We got some more other content than just football coming out. Obviously, it's been tough to discuss every single sport because, they're not going on.
I was about to say, I go, wait a second, where are you going here?
Obviously it's tough.
We've been trying to be creative and make some fun topics, like the Josh Allen, Sam Darnold one, and
we'll keep coming up with these debates.
Sorry for going a little long on it, but I could see it in Steven's face. I had to keep riding him. I had to keep riding him. I don't care about his stats, but if all else fails, if I listen to this podcast, just have this one takeaway. Sam
Darnold is better than Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is better than Sam Darnold. Just by a little bit.
Notice how I knew that's what you were going to say.
No, you don't know anything. You don't know anything.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
You don't know anything. Anyway, this has been a fun one. This will be the first one of many
more to come.
Coming out in this couple weeks. This is gonna go on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts
as well.
Yeah, we're going through Anchor. Yeah. Like if you guys
Anchor sends it out to Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, any other streaming platform. If say somehow you don't have YouTube, You can find us, which is just so odd in today's world. I don't think anyone has not.
I mean,
used YouTube,
hopefully, I'm sure tons of you have Spotify accounts, so it would be really easy to listen there, I think. And hopefully, in the next week or couple of weeks, we're gonna try to get through Anchor. We're gonna try to get on Apple Podcasts as well. So hang in there with us as we try to do the technological things.
Also, check out our website, Sean and Brendan Foley did a fantastic job. I'm not as big on the technical side.
He's not. He's no help.
So
no help at all. But it's okay. It's okay.
I'm learning.
We new drop down bars. We're gonna be getting new stories probably coming up in the next couple days as well. Written stories. Big Papa's got one. It'll probably come out in the next couple of days.
We also got a future podcast coming up too with Big Papa potentially.
That's right. No, not potentially. It's happening.
Oh, it's happening.
It's happening.
Oh, there we go. Now we're talking.
Anyway. Thanks for listening to us. Special shout out for Sal Sabatino standing in the corner playing 2K in my basement. Basement Sports Talk. We're open for everyone. No, every shape and size.
Everybody's allowed in the basement.
Everyone's allowed in the basement as long as they're playing or doing something with sports. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening and stay tuned for more content.
Hell yes.